Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk. What's up, everybody? Big Herc Prison Talk, and it's holiday time. Thank you for tuning in to another episode, and we thank all our fans for supporting us and making us one of the #1 shows on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That way you'll be notified of all our videos as they come out. We got a lot of dope stuff coming up, a lot of cool interviews. We got a hot new series that's gonna be dropping, so make sure you guys hit the subscribe so you don't miss anything. Also subscribe to our Instagram and our Twitter, which is FreshOutSeries, along with our Patreon, which is FreshOutSeries. And if you have any questions, shoot us an email at FreshOutSeries@gmail.com. Had a question from one of our viewers. Does the institution recognize an inmate's right to self-defense, or are both inmates considered equally guilty during a confrontation? Self-defense, depending on the damage to the other individual and that individual's reputation, yeah. You know, you might have to argue to some degree depending on what happened in a particular incident. Like if it was an incident where you defended yourself, like say for instance, you defended yourself and somebody tried to take your booty. And this motherfucker, he's a known cheek buster, you know what I mean, booty bandit. And this individual preys on individuals and, you know, you stuck his ass. You put a blinky up in him or shanked his motherfucking ass for trying to take your butt cheeks. And this person suffers some severe, injuries which causes him to be hospitalized. Hey man, that's self-defense, and I would argue that, and I would actually recommend that the individual who did it sue the institution for basically, violation of rights. Because if they know this individual is a predator and they're allowing him to prey on other inmates, then that's a security issue. You know, if when they make jokes of people getting their butt cheeks took or somebody knocking somebody out and taking their ass, man, that ain't no laughing matter. No man wants to forcibly have his cheeks spread apart and have somebody put their pee-pee in it. You know what I mean? Unless it's consensual, which, that's a whole nother argument, then, hey, if you enjoy that shit and you consent to having pee-pee in your butt, then that's your choice. But as far as a motherfucker trying to take them cheeks, hey man, you have a right to cut his motherfucking nutsack off. And that's self-defense. You know what I mean? Rape, if you're gonna get raped, that's not consensual, And you could argue that and actually get a lawyer from the street to sue the institution. So self-defense in that case, I would say is perfectly justifiable. If somebody is pressing you or trying to shake you down and, they have a record of shanking other inmates, or, if there's a shank on that inmate when you do your duty on that individual, whoop that ass, split that wig, then hey man, it was self-defense. They had a shank, you had a shank. That's the argument. You don't ever want to allow somebody to just violate you and accept that type of punishment. It's a sad situation that you got to deal with individuals like this because of just their animalistic mentality, but someone who tries to forcibly do anything to you, you have a right to defend yourself. You don't have to just fall prey and let a motherfucker just, violate you like that, And if it's a situation where more than one inmate tries to jump you and somebody gets stuck in the process because you got jumped, and then hey man, argue self-defense. Now, it could be argued if a person was already, say, knocked out or something, and you continue to stomp them out and kill them, then they could say that could be possibly beyond self-defense. But I've seen where in one of the institutions I was at a USP, where the inmate actually got into it with a guard, and the guard was talking shit. I think it was during count time. It was right before I got there, but another inmate had kind of broke down a scenario, and the guard popped the cell, went in there with intentions of trying to, be Billy Badass, and got that ass whooped. Now the inmate said they were defending themselves because the guard it wasn't protocol for them to do what they did, and another inmate witnessed it, and this inmate actually beat the charge by the guard who got the ass whooped. So there are instances where, if there's witnesses, and a lot of times what they'll try to do is, hey, try to maybe pay the witness off or tell the witness, if you don't go testify. But the person who testified in this instance was the OG. This motherfucker didn't give a fuck, and it wasn't considered snitching because the guard motherfucking went up in there trying to do some shit and got that ass whooped. So, if there's situations like that, shit can go down, and if somebody sees that, and if that person witnesses, hey man, you defended yourself. You don't have to accept a motherfucking a situation that you can possibly get life or more time just because you defended yourself. Speak up, and you have a right to not be violated. And even though you're in prison, you do have liberties. You have liberties that are enforceable, and that, like I said, if you know how to work paperwork and you have access to, anybody on the street, and you let them know what's going on, and sometimes they'll try to lock you down so you can't talk to somebody, but have the homie send out a kite, hey man, you can make shit happen. So like I said, there is a right to defend yourself, and it just depends on to the extent of what the damage is to that other individual, because I've seen another case where an individual pulled a knife on the homie fucking broke that person's leg, dislocated their eye socket and broke their arm, but the other person had a shank on them. They got what was coming to him. He got out the hole, he was in there for a minute, didn't get no additional time. The person who tried to shank him, who got all fucked up, they got shipped out. That's how it rolls. So yeah, man, you do have a right, and if a motherfucker's trying to take them cheeks, split their motherfucking wig, man. Lockdown's over. Get your yard time in. Exclusively at FreshOutSeries.com.